What's up, guys? Swift here, covering everything Chicago Bears, and today I want to talk about the dream draft of getting Rome Odunze at number 9, and is it realistic? At the beginning of the offseason, I would have told you that Rome Odunze falling to pick number 9 was one of the biggest long shots in the entire NFL draft. I just did not see it happening. He's my number 3 ranked player on my big board, behind only Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams. And then he went to the combine and tore up the place, while Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't work out. The odds of him falling to number 9 are very slim, but there is a path I could see this happening. One of the biggest keys to this is when the LSU Pro Day comes up, we need Malik Neighbors to put on a show and run a blazing 40-yard dash. Today I want to walk through picks 2 through 8 and go over the biggest obstacles for Rome Odunze falling to pick number 9. The top 4 of the NFL draft looks pretty set. It should go QB, 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 then Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th to the Cardinals. Enjoy that one, Cardinals fans. The biggest question is what order the quarterbacks go. Most likely it's Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and then Drake May at number 3. But there's a possibility the Vikings can get the Patriots to trade down. The Vikings are trying to move up for a quarterback, and I think the key here is who the Commanders take at number 2. This is merely a hunch, but I believe that the Patriots like Drake May, and that they would take him at number 3. But if the Commanders take Drake May at number 2, then the Patriots might be willing to trade their pick to the Vikings, allowing Minnesota a chance to draft either Jaden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy. The ideal scenario here would be Caleb goes number 1, Jaden Daniels goes number 2 to Washington, and then Drake May goes 3rd to the Patriots. And then the Cardinals would most likely take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. And this is where things get interesting. Pick 5 is Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they could definitely take Rome Odunze, but if the Vikings were to make an offer to trade up to number 5, they could come up and get J.J. McCarthy. That would drop the Chargers back, and they could target an offensive tackle like Tali Fuaga for the offensive line. That makes a ton of sense there, and if J.J. McCarthy goes top 5, it would really boost the chances that Rome Odunze falls to number 9. To me, the key to having a chance to land Rome Odunze is what happens at pick number 5, the Chargers pick. The other possibilities there, we could hope they take an offensive tackle, or they could take Brock Bowers or Malik Neighbors. But the Chargers are definitely a possibility to grab Rome Odunze, especially after cutting Mike Williams and trading Keenan Allen to us. The Chargers need a new wideout, and they'll probably snag Rome Odunze. Pick number 6 is the Giants, though. And if J.J. McCarthy is still on the board, maybe the Giants take him. But the Giants are also another team that could take Rome Odunze. This is where things get really interesting, and I'm not sure what to root for. We had a couple things go right for us as far as free agency that could really help Odunze fall in the draft, but it's still not very likely. The first thing that happened was the Titans landing Calvin Ridley. This should take them out of the market for a wide receiver in the first round, allowing them to take an offensive tackle and shore up the offensive line. And then next up, Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney, both landing with the Falcons, frees them up to take a pass rusher and should take them out of the wide receiver market early on as well. Both of those could work in favor for the Bears, but it comes down to what the Chargers and Giants do. They are the wild cards. The key here is at pick 5 with the Chargers. Let me break down the 2 different scenarios where we could land Rome Odunze at 9. If the Chargers trade the pick and a team like the Vikings or Broncos comes up and takes J.J. McCarthy, then we would need the Giants to take Malik Neighbors over Rome Odunze. I just don't know how likely that is. The Giants would probably take Rome anyway. So maybe the most likely scenario would be the Vikings not getting to trade up. Let's look at this one. The Chargers would take Malik Neighbors at number 5, and then J.J. McCarthy goes number 6 to the Giants, and then that leaves the Titans to take an offensive tackle, most likely Joe Alt, and then the Falcons would go defensive end with Dallas Turner. This scenario would leave the Vikings without one of the top 4 quarterbacks and allow the Bears a chance to land Rome Odunze. This would be awesome in my opinion. We already have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Adding Rome ODUNZE to learn from those two guys would give us one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL and really set Caleb Williams up for success. That would mean we would not land a starting caliber edge rusher unless we got lucky at pick number 75 though. I've talked a ton about how I think it's smarter to trade down from number 9. Even in this scenario, it could make sense. This wide receiver class is so stacked that if we trade down and get a second round pick and are still able to land Adonai Mitchell or Brian Thomas Jr., that could be a much better option. What's better in your opinion? Landing a stud wide receiver like Brian Thomas Jr. or Adonai Mitchell, and also getting a pass rusher like Chop Robinson or Jonah Ellis, or just landing Rome ODUNZE or Jared Verse? To me, I want to get a wide receiver and an edge, but I'd be perfectly fine landing Rome ODUNZE at 9 and walking away from this draft with two of the best 3 players on the entire board. Also, looking ahead a bit, next year's draft class looks loaded at defensive end. So maybe in a situation like this, you bring in another edge rusher after the draft, maybe even bring back Unique Ngakoue on a 1-year deal. We definitely need some more help at defensive end. We need a young developmental pass rusher. I'm also really hoping that one of our later picks is used on a center as well. I think Coleman Shelton is a good starting option, but we need a younger guy to develop for the future, and this class has some really nice options, especially later in the draft. Guys like Bo Limmer, Hunter Norzad, and Tanner Bordellini, these are guys who I think could develop into starters going forward. But there's a couple things I want to hear from you guys about on this one. First, what position do you think is most important to draft early on this year? Wide receiver, defensive end, or offensive line? This is assuming we are taking Caleb Williams number 1. Also, what are your guys' thoughts on landing Rome ODUNZE if he does fall back to number 9 versus trading back, landing a wide receiver later, and getting a second round pick? To me, the key to Rome ODUNZE still being on the board at pick number 9 comes down to J.J. McCarthy going in the top 10. That's the first thing we need to happen. Either the Giants take him at 6, or the Vikings, Broncos, or another team trade up for him possibly at number 5. Then we need whoever takes a wide receiver to take Malik Neighbors over Rome ODUNZE. I like ODUNZE a lot better, but I've seen media guys talking up Malik Neighbors a ton, so let's hope he puts on a show during his pro day. It's also possible the Bears could take Neighbors if he fell to number 9. What would your thoughts be on that one? Looking forward to hearing from you guys. I have a ton of videos on the way, including my Jaden Daniels scouting report. Please remember to hit that like button for me, and until next time, bear down.